It's the film that's caused every entertainment website to write 5 articles a second. Let's talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. So first thing out of the way, which is the question that everybody wants to know, or at least everyone's discussing, is this bigger and better than the theatrical cut, aka the Joss Whedon cut? And in many ways, yes, this film is. Because it's not a mishmash of two different directing styles, things are consistent. The lighting is consistent, the tone is consistent, the camera angles are consistent in shots and not pieces of reshoots scattered here and there that are distracting. The special effects and costumes also look better since, well, they were designed to be under that Zack Snyder dimmer, darker look. When you watch the theatrical cut, you can literally see the muscle padding under the costumes, and they don't look as good. And the length. Let's talk about the length. So, one of the benefits of the length is that, well, we get to develop characters more. And one of the problems of the theatrical cut is that, well, we had to introduce Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, and none of them really got that much character development. Wonder Woman and Batman didn't need as much, and they don't need as much in this film either. So, was the character development good? Kinda, I guess. I don't know. Flash really gets no much more development. He's still basically the comic relief character of the group. If you're a fan of Teen Titans, he's kind of like the Beast Boy of the group. And for the most part, he is kind of funny and delightful, though there is one scene that I just found really annoying, where he was just really annoying. But the rest of the movie, he was fine. Aquaman is, well, he's the brooding, drinking bad boy that you saw in the previous film, though we get a few more scenes with him and Atlanteans in this film. And yeah, he's pretty much the way he was in the previous film, just a few more lines, stuff like that. Cyborg really comes out with some good development in this film. In the previous one, he was the straight man of the group, and he still is the straight man here. But because we have more time in the film, we get more development with him and his relationship with his father, and him dealing with the fact that he basically came back from the dead in a way and is now in this cold, steely body. He's somewhat robotic in the beginning, as you might expect, but his character journey is rediscovering his humanity, and that despite the fact, the state of his existence, that he is alive and all that. And so, yes, Cyborg does come off as a slightly better character in this film than in the previous one. He has some good moments. But overall, a problem that has happened in this film, that is a problem that many people have complained about in previous Zack Snyder DC films, is investment in the characters. And I have to admit, I do have some trouble being invested in these characters to a degree. I think Cyborg comes out the best, but Superman, he doesn't really play that much bigger role in this film than he did in the theatrical cut. And he's just there. Wonder Woman is just doing her thing too, except her and Batman argue a little less. And, well, Flash is just Flash, and Aquaman is just Aquaman. It's just kind of a lot of the same. And if you're not a fan of Zack Snyder's previous DC films, then some of the issues you had with them are present in here. Things are dim, darkly lit. It's a world that's, I don't want to say dark and gray because that's used a lot. I'll say it's more cynical and dour. And gray. Gray. Even the villain, Steppenwolf, is still gray, which I admit Steppenwolf is better in this film than in the last one. Like I said, the special effects do look better, so he looks better, he looks more realistic. His new look is more interesting than the one that was in the theatrical cut, because he's got like this armor that's made of hundreds of little pieces of metal, so they move around, and sometimes they got these spikes and blades that come out. But he really doesn't do anything with the spikes and blades. He mostly still uses his big axe as his primary weapon. So another improvement that we have with Steppenwolf is that, unlike in the last one, his motivation was just, I want to conquer the world. There's a brief mention of Darkseid in the theatrical cut as he's doing this for Darkseid, but it's kind of a blink and you'll miss it moment when he mentions it. Here, it's very clear what his motivation for conquering the world is, bringing the mother boxes together, all that stuff. But despite the fact that his motivation is clear, he's still a boring, dull villain. I've seen worse, but it's like the problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is giving us a lot of great villains, but more often than not, it's kind of giving us plain cookie-cutter villains, and Steppenwolf is kind of that. He's mostly a villain because he's a big, powerful threat. Nothing more beyond that. And I'm sorry. We do get to see Darkseid in this film, as you've no doubt seen in the trailers, in previews, and he's the big gray villain. I know Darkseid has gray skin, but usually he wears that dark blue, navy blue outfit to help him kind of stand out a little bit. And no, he's gray. His henchman Darkseid's gray. All the parademons are gray. It's just a lot more of the gray. So if you don't dig the gray, then you're not going to dig it in here because it's all over this movie. Even our villains look gray or black. I mean, at the end of the movie, with all the muted and washed out colors like you've seen in the previous Snyder films, they feel even more muted and washed out here. There are a few moments, a few bright moments where we do get some color or brightness, but they're few and far between. Even at towards the end of the movie, when the heroes are going for their big victory, it's gray and it kind of makes them not distinguish amongst each other. That's why comic books are not written, drawn so colorfully, so the characters can stand out, so they can pop out of the page at you. Honestly, it wouldn't hurt Zack Snyder to put some little more color. I know that's his style, but it just doesn't work here. And I know some of you guys are calling me a hater, probably some of you might even say I'm a Marvel shill. I thought the Marvel versus DC thing was ridiculous anyway, but listen, I'm a Marvel fan, but even I can admit when Marvel has made bad movies or bad shows, okay? So don't think think that Marvel is its impenetrable golden god that that's flawless. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not really digging these Zack Snyder films. And honestly, the length is an issue. I know that this is his director cut. This is his ultimate vision. And some of the stuff he put in this movie originally was put there because the studio pushed it on him that he had to set up all these things. But and I understand he wanted everyone to see his complete full vision, but honestly, he could have shaved a lot out of this film. There's multiple scenes or even moments that could have been cut out here or there. He could have cut out a lot to bring it down because some stuff is just kind of like reiterating. Some stuff is just just who cares? Who cares? It has nothing to do really with, just who cares? Like, there's a lot of that in the film. All the acting is good. I like all the actors. Ben Affleck, despite the fact that I did not like a lot of things that were done with his Batman and BVS, I think Ben Affleck is still a good Batman. And I know he seems to be out of the role, though I heard HBO Max wants him to do more stuff. If he did more stuff, I'd be fine with that, as long as it wasn't Zack Snyder behind it. And Wonder Woman 84 was a letdown, so hopefully Wonder Woman 3 is good. The Flash movie, I mean, it seems like they're going pretty big with that one, so hopefully they pull it off. Aquaman 2, I don't know. The only one that's not going to get a movie, obviously, is Cyborg, because, well, Ray Fisher, we know in this past year has brought to light a lot of things about that happened during the Justice League shoot, but you know what? I'm getting off track. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother discussion. It's kind of a shame we'll never get to see a Cyborg film. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, yeah, so there are good things about this film that make it superior to the theatrical cut because it's one clear, distinct vision. But once again, I just don't really get the full appeal of that vision, and it's just dour. It's dour because I'm not invested in the characters. The story for the most part is basically, once again, the story from the theatrical cut, but it's more elaborated on. But still, as I've had the issue with in the previous films, I'm just not really invested in these characters. Superman is supposed to be a symbol for hope, to give people, to inspire them, to inspire the world. And this movie, like the theatrical cut, makes it out to be that Superman inspired the world, but I never felt like he did in the previous film. So why act like he is now? Because at the end of this movie, Superman is just what he's always been focused on in these previous films. He's a big powerhouse that can beat up people that can't be beat up. I really still don't feel like I know who he is as Clark, except beyond the fact that he loves his mom and he loves Lois. It's just these consistent problems. And I know some people think that I maybe shouldn't say this film has problems or it's not good or even just okay. Because Zack Snyder, you know what? Zack Snyder, he's done a lot of good things. That the charity, the money he raised for suicide prevention, that's great. And I've heard through the grapevine that he's a really nice guy, that he's really nice to work with. But he's still a filmmaker. He's an artist, and he's making a piece of art. And because it's a piece of art, it's open to criticism. And besides, even if you don't like my final rating, if you're a Snyder fan, guys, you've won. You campaigned hard, you got this movie, and here it is, and I genuinely hope you enjoyed it. But I want to be honest when I do movie reviews. I'd rather be honest and take whatever heat's coming my way than lie to you and just be a jerk. So at the end of the day, the rating I'm going to give this movie is a 5 out of 10. There's some good stuff in this film, but the bad, the mistakes, the flaws, they're here as always. So yes, 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, I wish I could give it a higher rating. I've heard a lot of the previews of critics who got to see us ahead of time. Their reviews were mostly positive. Not fantastic, but mostly positive. But I'm just not feeling the same. And I'm sorry, but that's how I see it. Well, anyway, guys, that is my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Please go down in the comments and tell me either which way how you feel about this film. And if you did enjoy this video, do us both a solid by clicking that subscribe button. It helps me out and helps you out to let you know when I've got new videos out. Until my next video, take it easy.